Let me tell you a secret most people spend their whole lives avoiding. Safety is the greatest illusion ever sold, and the price you pay for chasing it is your potential. Every great thing you've ever dreamed of, every bold goal you've dared to write down, lives on the other side of risk. Not because life is cruel, not because success is reserved for the lucky, but because growth requires movement, and movement requires uncertainty. You don't evolve in safety. You don't grow in comfort. And you definitely don't reach your greatest self by doing what you already know. You were not built to stay in one place. There is something in your spirit that craves expansion, that needs to break the walls of what's familiar so you can meet the version of you haven't become yet. And that's the real reason why risk is required. Because until you step into the unknown, you don't just avoid failure, you also avoid transformation. Until you take the leap, you'll never know what wings were waiting to unfold. You can stay safe, or you can become powerful. But you can't be both. Look around. Every person who has ever inspired you risked. They risked rejection. They risked failure. They risked being misunderstood, laughed at, walked away from. But they chose the discomfort of becoming over the illusion of security. Why? Because deep down they knew the risk of regret is always greater than the risk of failure. Because fear rarely announces itself as fear. It speaks with the voice of logic. It wears the mask of being realistic. It whispers things like, now's not the right time. What if you lose everything? Or, you're not ready yet. But that's not wisdom. That's not caution. That's camouflaged fear. Fear that has learned to speak in the language of justification. You call it timing. You call it strategy. You call it preparation. But what you're really doing is postponing your life. And here's what's cruel. Every day you delay your leap, your confidence erodes. Every time you ignore that inner pull, your belief withers. And one day you don't even need fear to stop you because you've trained yourself to stay small. Most people don't fail because they risked and lost. They fail because they never leapt at all. They wake up in the same job with the same habits, around the same people, telling the same story that they're waiting for the right moment. But the right moment is not something you wait for. It's something you decide to make. You don't become legendary by playing defense. You don't build an extraordinary life by avoiding discomfort. You rise by choosing to feel fear and move anyway. Every risk you avoid today becomes a boundary for tomorrow. And soon, you don't live in freedom. You live in a fenced version of your potential. You pace around your own limits and call it being responsible. But it's not responsibility. It's resignation. It's surrender. Dressed up in excuses. You want power? Then you have to be willing to risk comfort. You want growth? Then you have to be willing to risk familiarity. You want greatness? Then you have to be willing to risk being seen, being stretched, and maybe even failing but rising anyway. Because the truth is this, risk doesn't just shape outcomes. It reveals who you are. It pulls the curtain back. It strips away comfort and exposes your character. When the guarantee is gone, who do you become? Do you retreat or do you rise? You see, uncertainty is not your enemy, it's your training ground. It's where strength is formed. It's where resilience is forged, not by what you avoid, but by what you walk through. You don't become strong by reading about risk. You become strong by stepping into it again and again until the fear becomes familiar and the unknown becomes home. Because every time you risk, you reclaim power. Not because the outcome is guaranteed, but because you decided you were worth the attempt. You said, I will not let comfort keep me caged. You said, I'd rather be stretched than safe. You said, I am not here to play small. And something changes in you when you live like that. You stop begging life to hand you certainty, and you start building the capacity to lead through uncertainty. That's when people notice. That's when your energy shifts. That's when doors open. Not because you knocked, but because your energy breaks walls. Because people don't follow the most talented. They follow the bravest. The ones who risk being wrong. The ones who speak when it's hard. The ones who move when it's messy. The ones who go first. And here's the truth that sets the courageous apart. You don't rise by being fearless. You rise by being faithful in spite of fear. Then listen closely, because this is where it all comes together. Risk is not recklessness. It's not carelessness. It's not blind ambition. Risk is reverence. It's saying to life, I trust what's inside of me more than I fear what's in front of me. It's honoring your calling with movement. It's proving to yourself that your dreams are not decoration. They are destiny. And destiny doesn't respond to hesitation. It responds to boldness. There is no such thing as a meaningful life without risk. Because anything worth living for, love, purpose, freedom, greatness, it all demands something of you. It asks you to let go of who you were so you can become who you're meant to be. It asks you to lose certainty and find conviction. It asks you to surrender comfort and pick up courage. It asks you to walk forward even when the road is foggy, even when the voices say, play it safe, even when your knees shake and say, I'm doing it anyway. Because you don't get to keep your old life and build a new one. You don't get to keep your comfort and claim your calling. You don't get to stay safe and rise. You have to choose. And here's the miracle. When you choose risk, you unlock revelation. You meet parts of yourself that only pressure can reveal. You discover strength you didn't know you had. You become magnetic not because you're fearless, but because you've been through fear and kept going. And soon you'll realize the risk wasn't risking at all. The real risk was never risking anything. The real danger was letting the dream die inside you because you were too afraid to trust the wings that were waiting to grow. So today, if you hear that voice calling you to stretch, to leap, to move, listen to it. That's not recklessness. That's not foolishness. That's life inviting you into greatness. And your job is to say yes. Most people write to be liked. But influence, real influence, isn't built through popularity. It's built through precision, through words that carry weight, through sentences that don't just inform, they move people. Because in business, writing isn't a task. It's a weapon. Every email, every post, every message is a test. Can you hold attention? Can you create clarity? Can you spark belief? If not, you're invisible. But if you can, you rise. Because those who shape words shape minds. And those who shape minds move markets. That's the writing you're here to master. Not fluff, not filler, not empty noise camouflaged as cleverness, but writing that commands, that shifts, that ignites, that cuts through the fog like a sword through silence. Writing that gets clients to trust, teams to move, investors to lean in, buyers to click, and people, real people, to feel seen, understood, and inspired to act. But let's get one thing straight. Powerful writing in business isn't about sounding smart. It's about making them feel smart. It's not about showcasing your vocabulary. It's about unlocking their vision. It's not a performance. It's a service. The better you write, the more clearly they see themselves succeeding with you. So where does it begin? It begins with clarity. Clarity isn't just a nice thing. It's the thing. If your message isn't clear, it doesn't matter how creative it is. Confused people don't buy. They don't follow. They don't move. And in a world drowning in content, clarity is a lifeline. To write with clarity, you must think with clarity. You must know exactly who you're talking to, what they're feeling, what they fear, and where they want to go. You're not writing to impress them. You're writing to join them in their tension and then show them the way out. Clarity isn't soft. It's not boring. It's sharp. It cuts through the fog. It says, here, this is the truth. This is what matters. This is what's possible. And when done right, it pierces through resistance and lands straight in the heart. Then comes rhythm. Because writing isn't just what you say, it's how it flows. Influence lives in cadence. Power lives in pacing. You don't just type words. You conduct them. You orchestrate tension. You shape silence. You decide when to punch, when to pause, when to press, when to breathe. A powerful sentence is more than language. It's a lever. It lifts belief. It moves action. It opens doors in the reader's mind that were previously locked. So write like a sculptor, cut everything that doesn't serve the form. Write like a musician, feel the beat of your words. Write like a boxer, know when to jab, when to strike, and when to hold. And never forget, emotion is the engine. Logic informs, but emotion transforms. If your writing doesn't move them, it won't matter how accurate it is. If they don't feel something, they won't do anything. That's not manipulation, that's connection. Because before people decide what's true, they decide what's real. And real always feels first. You're not just giving information. You're giving permission. Permission to believe, to dream, to change. And every line should walk them closer to the person they want to become, with you, through you, because of what you wrote. Tone is the soul of your writing. It's not just what you say, it's how they hear it in their head. Tone is what makes someone lean in instead of scroll past. What makes your words feel like a conversation instead of a commercial? What makes your voice unforgettable? In business, your tone must carry confidence without ego, warmth without weakness, authority without arrogance. It's the difference between shouting and shining, between pressure and presence. A confident tone says, I've done the work. A clear tone says, you're safe here. A real tone says, I see you. And when your writing embodies that energy, it doesn't just transfer information, it transfers trust. That's influence. And that's how you win. Next, anchor your writing in identity. Because in a noisy marketplace, the strongest voice always wins. But a strong voice doesn't mean loud. It means rooted. Rooted in your beliefs, your style, your rhythm, your stance. Don't sound like everyone else. Don't chase the trending tone. Don't water yourself down to appeal to more people. That's how you end up reaching no one. The more specific your voice, the more magnetic your writing becomes. Be bold, be direct, be unmistakable. Because the truth is, if your writing sounds like it could come from anyone, then it won't mean anything to anyone. Specificity is your scalpel. Vagueness is the enemy of persuasion. If your reader has to guess what you mean, they're already gone. Your writing should not only be vivid, it should be surgical. Every word should feel chosen. Every line should feel earned. Don't say better business. Say triple your recurring revenue in 6 months without adding staff. Don't say help you grow. Say help you break through that revenue ceiling you've been stuck under for 2 years. Specific writing is felt. It's trusted. It hits like truth. Because it doesn't just speak to the mind, it mirrors the reader's experience. And that's where storytelling comes in. Stories are not entertainment. They're transportation. A great story doesn't just teach, it transfers. It takes the reader from where they are into a moment, a lesson, a vision. And inside that story, they don't just learn, they feel. And once they feel, they move. Don't just tell them you overcame something, show them the night you almost quit. Don't just claim your strategy works. Walk them ever needing to say it. Because real authority doesn't scream. It doesn't beg. It doesn't boast. Real authority is quiet power. It's confidence wrapped in clarity. It's precision that pierces without pressure. And the most powerful way to write with authority is to write like someone who knows the struggle, knows the solution, knows the stakes, and knows how to lead someone from confusion to conviction. Your writing builds authority when it leads, not when it entertains, not when it impresses, when it leads, line by line, word by word. It walks the reader from, I don't know what to do, to, this is the way forward. And the secret? It's not about you. It's about them. The more deeply you understand them, the more undeniable your authority becomes. Because in a world full of writers who want attention, the ones who earn influence are the ones who offer clarity. So, how do you convert without selling? How do you move hearts and wallets without manipulation? You stop pushing and you start aligning. You write in a way that reflects their reality. You meet them in their moment. You articulate their problem better than they've ever heard it described. And then, when you present the offer, it doesn't feel like a pitch. It feels like a path. Persuasion isn't about pressure. It's about precision. It's not about changing minds. It's about unlocking what's already there. That means knowing the real pain underneath the surface level complaint. That means naming the desire behind the data. That means painting a picture of the outcome so clear they can feel themselves living in it. Conversion writing is service-driven. It's not, here's why I'm amazing. It's, here's what you've been stuck in, and here's how we walk out together. And if you want your writing to build lasting influence, it must reshape identity. Because the most powerful writing doesn't just shift thoughts. It shifts self-perception. It takes someone from, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stuck, I'm behind, to, I'm capable, I'm ready, I'm done waiting. That kind of writing doesn't talk at people. It talks to the part of them that's been waiting to be woken up. So write to the future version of your reader, the version that's braver, bolder, clearer. Speak to their potential, not their pain. Don't just show them what's wrong, show them who they can become. And when they feel seen by your writing, when they recognize themselves in your words, they won't just follow you. They'll thank you. They'll remember you. And they'll move because of you. Because at the end of the day, writing isn't just about communication. It's about creation. You are not just writing content. You are building bridges, opening doors, lighting torches. You are creating momentum where there was once paralysis, vision where there was once fog, power where there was once doubt. And when you understand that, you stop treating your writing like a task on a to-do list. You start treating it like the lever that moves everything else. Because it is. The right words can unlock a sale. The right message can shift a market. The right sentence can rewire a person's self-belief for life. That's not hype. That's the quiet truth behind every influential brand, every meaningful movement, every lasting business. Someone wrote something powerful enough to make someone else believe again. So if you're serious about building influence in business, don't start with your funnel. Start with your pen, with your process, with your intention, with your obsession with clarity, your reverence for rhythm, your demand for depth. Because writing isn't something you do once the real work is done. Writing is the work. It's where the vision gets shaped. It's where the voice gets found. It's where the value gets proven before you ever speak a word or sell a thing. And the most successful people in business, they write with identity. They write with intention. They write like leaders, not because they want attention, but because they want to serve at scale. So don't just write to publish. Write to pierce, to provoke, to clarify, to convert, to empower, to elevate, to lead. And when you do that, when your writing starts breathing with the heartbeat of someone who cares, people will notice. They'll feel it. They'll remember it. And more importantly, they'll respond to it. Because writing done right doesn't just create content. It creates connection. It creates conviction. And in the end, it creates change. So write like it matters. Because it does. Write like your future depends on it. Because it might. Write like it's your legacy being carved, one line at a time. Because that's exactly what it is. And when it's all said and done, and your business has scaled, and your brand has grown, and your influence has reached places you never imagined, you'll look back and realize it started with one sentence, one truth, one choice to write like a leader, and never look back.